Welcome into the Fantasy Flow podcast. It's Austin and Andy, and we're previewing the Super Bowl 2025. Eagles, Chiefs. Andy, what's up?
Nothing much, man. Happy Monday, and let's go football, baby.
Let's go football. What are your plans for the Super Bowl?
Yeah, Marissa, my wife, going over to her friend's house, and sounds like there's going to be some pregame activities. Whether that involves some money down on a coin flip or money down on how long the national anthem is going to be, some weird stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. No, yeah, we'll get into all that. I'm excited, man.
Yeah.
I'm going to a party at a friend's house, which is great. They're great hosts. It's been a ton of fun, historically speaking. But yeah, there'll definitely be like more Taylor Swift fans than there will be football fans. It's not it's not
Funny
a
how
bunch
that
of
is.
football minds gonna like break down the game, as it's happening. It's gonna be
Right,
be
right.
pretty lax. So
Yeah. Yeah. It's always going to be like that, right? Apparently, the host at our party is going to be there's a room for the serious watchers, and then there's a different place for the
no way.
general. And I'm like, oh, that sounds great. And then I start to think about it. Well, isn't that the whole point of the Super Bowl party? Is like to join forces between the diehard Super Bowl fan or football fans, and then the casual fan. Like that's the whole ebb and flow of it. So I don't know. We'll
Not
see
at
what happens.
all. No. That sounds wonderful to me.
Uh, I don't
Because
know.
like I love the idea of like uniting to watch a game, but like if they're not watching the game, if they're like trying to talk over the
Mm,
commentators and they're like distracting from the
that's fair.
that's when I get a little like, oh man, a different room would be real nice right now. But
That's great. That's great.
no, we will get into the Super Bowl. Tell you what, we're expecting the matchups, the X factors, predictions, what to bet on, all that stuff. That's coming your way shortly. We're gonna start off this episode talking about some news that broke within the last 48 hours, and that starts off with reigning defensive player of the year, Myles Garrett. He's let the Browns know that he wants to be traded out, specifically to a contender. This is like the least surprising thing. Not that I predicted it or anything, but like I can't believe it hasn't already happened. Was kind of my thought because that team is going absolutely nowhere fast, and he's in his absolute prime. I think he's 29 right now, and he's one of the best in the league. And yeah, if he wants to not be on an absolutely destitute franchise, like he has the power, I think, to make that happen.
At least ask, right? I mean, my reaction was the same as yours. It's just finally this guy is stepping up to the plate and saying no more. Like get me out of here. There was a bunch of talk about him potentially getting traded to the Lions. The Lions going after him after Aiden Hutchinson got hurt last year or during this year. So yeah,
Yeah,
I think
that
they
makes a
should have
lot of
done that.
sense.
I think that would have made a huge difference for them. And now look at he's like I just said, he's putting his foot on the table and saying, "Get me out of here."
I totally get it. I've seen floated around the asking price to trade for Myles Garrett being like two firsts, like two future firsts. That seems a little high, but I don't know. Crazier things have happened. I mean, it's besides quarterback, edge rusher is probably the most premium position in football. Cooper Kupp announced that the Rams have informed him that they're trying to trade him. He did not request a trade. He would love to be loyal to the Rams until he retires, but his contract is just a little too big, the Rams feel, and he is not producing up to his contract. So that this one's a little more sad, especially you and I being Eastern Eagles. Cooper Kupp, we got to watch him play in college multiple years, and he's our boy. But man, yeah, it's hard to overlook his statistical fall off this year. I mean, the last few games, not just few, the last, I don't know, felt like 5 or 6 games, he was just getting like 1 or 2 catches for 30 something yards. Um, and yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the reason for that is. Andy, maybe he's getting a little too old.
A little too washed around the corner, maybe.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. I really hope that's not the case, but it definitely could be because we're kind of getting there. Um, yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. How much a team is willing to give up to add Cooper Cup and his big salary. They'll probably renegotiate the contract after they trade for him. But then, how much of that salary is going to be paid by the Rams still? That'll depend on the compensation. We've seen
Hmm.
sort of similar things happen, in years past. I don't have like a great comp because, when Cooper Cup is on, he's one of the greatest receivers in the league. Um, I don't know if we'll ever really see that level of production again, but I can't rule it out personally.
A team that comes to mind at first is the Bengals. They get rid of T. Higgins. They let T. Higgins go, and then Cooper Cup gets Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase to play with. I mean,
Well, that's interesting. Yeah.
how fun would that be?
Yeah, you give up what, a third round pick, and you don't have to pay someone in their prime. You can just pay the remainder of Cooper Cup's contract and have the Rams kind of pay for some of that too.
Yep.
That'd be fun. But this is a very interesting year because there's a ton of free agent wide receivers. Um,
Right.
it's a
Right.
pretty interesting group, honestly, and we'll get there after the Super Bowl. We'll do a bunch of off-season content around that. But yeah, just guys like Stephon Diggs, Amari Cooper, younger guys like Deontay Johnson, and yeah, if T Higgins hits the market, he's going to be probably the top name. So
Right.
yeah, lots of competition there. That should be interesting. All right, let's get to the big game, the Super Bowl. Eagles Chiefs.
Okay.
Chiefs favored by 1.5 since last time I looked. The over under was 49.5 for the game. And these two teams, I just want to start it off this way, just trying to build it up a little bit. Not that the NFL needs us to build up the Super Bowl, but man, these two teams have won so much this year. Like these are obviously the two best teams in the entire league. They didn't play each other this year, and I just wanted to say this off the jump: the Eagles, since their Week 5 bye, are 15-1, and Jalen Hurts got injured at the beginning of that one game that they lost. So that's insane. The
That's
Chiefs
crazy.
this season, since Week 1, are 17-2, and one of those losses was in a meaningless Week 18 game where they rested all their starters. So it's just like these are like the elite of the elite teams. They do is win, and now they're gonna actually go up against each other, and I'm super pumped to see what happens. My initial thoughts on the matchup is just that nobody seems to be able to stop Saquon Barkley, and I don't really see the Chiefs doing it on Sunday. Um, I don't know. I just kind of need to see it first before I predict that someone's going to stop Saquon Barkley. I know that's not the most in-depth, like analytics-driven argument, but like just surface level, that's kind of my initial take on this matchup. Andy, how about you?
Yeah, I totally agree. I have been rooting for Saquon. I have been enjoying everything he has been doing in these playoffs this whole season, really, but especially these playoffs. And I agree. I think that's been my take with the Eagles pretty much this whole postseason, as nobody can stop Saquon. Nobody's been able to figure it out. My rebuttal is they still might not be able to fix the Chiefs. Still might not be the team. Nobody might be able to figure out how to stop Saquon, but does that mean the Eagles still win the game?
I don't know, man. I'm looking at the recent history of the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, and The year that they lost the Super Bowl to Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, it had honestly less to do with Tom Brady and more to do with their run game. I got the box score up right here.
Mm.
The Bucks, Leonard Fournette, he ran the ball 16 times for 5.6 a carry. Ronald Jones ran the ball 12 times and he averaged over 5 yards a carry. So, and there's some game scriptness to that, right? Like they already had the lead at the beginning, and then they kind of ran away with it. It was a positive game script for the running game, but like you still got to be able to stop the ball carrier, and they couldn't. They were giving up
Mm.
5.5 to Leonard Fournette, like late stage Leonard Fournette. So, and then you look at their Super Bowl history against the 49ers. Christian McCaffrey, he had a low yards per carry in the Super Bowls that the Chiefs won. So,
Sure.
and you could say, well, if they can stop Christian McCaffrey, they can stop Saquon Barkley. But I don't know. This is just a special season for Saquon. It's a 2,000-yard rusher. Like, I don't think Christian McCaffrey's ever done that. The way that this team is built and the way that this team has the passing attack to exploit you if you overcommit to stopping the run. The Jimmy Garoppolo 49ers didn't have that. I don't know if the Brock Purdy 49ers really had that, although they did push them to overtime. I don't know. I just think that the Eagles are so well balanced, and that running game is going to be the key to victory.
Yes, I agree. I totally agree. It's going to be the key to their victory. I worry that the Kansas City scheme is not so much going to hold. It's going to keep Saquon at a good level, but not a great level. And having Patrick Mahomes, like, to me, Saquon is the difference maker. He's the difference maker on. I mean, we can get into this. He's the X factor for the Eagles, right? Like we keep on talking about him.
Kind of
I
have
don't
to be.
really Yeah, I don't really know if the Eagles have another X factor. I think the Chiefs have a couple. I think they have Patrick Mahomes. I think they have Andy Reid. I think they have Chris Jones. I think I can't really. Jalen Carter maybe comes to mind, but I'm interested to hear what you say on these X factors of this game.
I'll share my X factor in just a minute, but I do want to put a button on my point from earlier, looking at the previous Super Bowls and the rushing success. The Chiefs versus Eagles 2 years ago. The Eagles had Jalen Hurts, who ran all over the place. That was just a different offense, and he was young and spry. That was a big part of his game, right? But they still had Kenny Gainwell, Miles Sanders, and Boston Scott. Okay, those were their running backs. And they went to the Super Bowl with those three guys. In that game, and it was a high-scoring game, they ran the ball a combined 17 times for 2.6 yards per carry.
Gross.
Yeah. Yeah. So like this Chiefs defense, they've always been pretty good at stopping the run, and then in the postseason they really turn it up. And there is a strong correlation with just running efficiency and winning the ball game. So yeah, 2.6 yards per carry is what the Eagles got out of their running backs in the Super Bowl last time they played each other. Saquon Barkley, only twice all year has he had less than 4 yards per carry.
Wow.
All year
Wow.
he has 2 games that was against the Browns defense and the Steelers defense. He was less than 4 yards a carry. All the others he was at 4. I think he was above 4.5 in almost all the other games.
Wow.
Yeah. So obviously Saquon and the running game of the Eagles like is the thing to watch. But when I think of X Factor, I think of like what is kind of a wild card that could end up having like a big impact on the game. That's kind of how I took it.
Mm.
And I wrote down Cooper DeJean because he is just such a dynamic rookie that adds a lot to the Eagles defense. Is he a safety? Is he a corner? Is he a nickel? Like it doesn't matter. Like he's all over the place, and what he excels most at is defending the screen game and defending like these little dump offs. Like he is just so like right to the ball with violence and aggression, and I love that. It generates turnovers on occasion, and the Chiefs specifically love screen passes and they love dump offs to the running back. And so I just really love Cooper DeJean in that spot. I think he's just a dangerous weapon that could end up having like an outsized impact on the game. And we'll get to the Chiefs in a minute, but yeah, I have kind of a equally sneaky X factor on that side.
Sure. Sure. No, I'm curious. I'll start with my side on the Chiefs. Obviously, like I said, there's the Patrick Mahomes, there's the Andy Reid. I'm gonna kind of just lump in the Kansas City pass catchers as a whole. I think Xavier Worthy's really come up. I think Hollywood Brown has been a great late addition to this team. They still have DeAndre Hopkins, and then of course Travis Kelsey, right, and Noah Gray. I could.
Like Juju Smith-Schuster doesn't even
Oh,
go like mentioned. Like
right.
he's a good receiver. He wins Super Bowls. Like he had an
Yeah.
excellent run with the Steelers, and then he just joins the Chiefs and just he just keeps adding rings to his fingers. And like no one even wants to talk about him, and he's in his prime, and it's crazy how like buried he is on this depth chart. Like to your
True.
point, the Chiefs wide receiver core has been like the story all year.
Mm,
Last year it was like,
yep.
oh, they don't have anybody, and then they went out and they signed Hollywood Brown, and then he gets hurt, and then they trade for DeAndre Hopkins, and it was just like there's been so much talk around the receiver core for the Chiefs, and
Right.
so far they've looked pretty good this postseason.
Yeah, definitely have come out strong in the playoffs. It seems like they're all. I mean, having Hollywood Brown back is huge for this team, and it seems like they don't even need Travis Kelsey. But I think that's going to be a determining factor in this game is how well they pass the ball. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is going to be throwing the ball really well, but can the receivers make the right moves, make that juke or one or two jukes to try to go get a touchdown off of a play? Can they get through Cooper DeJean and the with the screen
Yeah,
pass and
yeah,
stuff like that? So I'm curious to hear what you have to say, though.
yeah. I got a Chiefs pass catcher, one that we still haven't mentioned. His name is Nick Remigio, and he's their kick returner. Don't give me that look. I know you've heard his name recently in these playoffs.
What?
Yeah. He had a huge punt return in the AFC Championship game to set up a scoring drive. And I think he had a big kick return in the divisional game as well. And I was just looking more and more at that Chiefs Eagles Super Bowl from 2 years ago, and Kadarius Toney had two massive punt returns that
Mm,
really had an impact on the game. I think he had two big kick returns and he caught a touchdown pass. He had one catch for 4 yards and a touchdown. So, yeah, I could definitely. I mean, this is just how Andy Reid likes to do it. He spreads the ball around so much, so many different people touch the ball. I remember seeing this weird prop, and we'll get to props later, but like, it was number of players to catch a pass for the team, and for the
oh,
Eagles, it was like 7.5, like over under 7 players, different players to catch the ball. For the Chiefs, it was at least three more players because that's just how they roll. They use everyone on their roster, and that gives them an advantage, they feel like, because the defense doesn't know who's getting the ball. They cannot
sure.
double anyone because there's no one worth doubling. Like there's so many guys who can have an impact on a play, especially when they're wide ass open, like Andy Reid
Right.
likes to get them. So,
Right. Right.
anyways,
I
that's
like
my
it.
X factor. I know it's a little cheesy, but yeah,
Sure.
hey, that's one of the three phases of the game, right? Special teams.
Right. Right. No, that's going to matter, and we saw that matter against when the Eagles played the Washington Commanders, and we've seen it matter when it matters the most. Like you said, Kadarius Toney in the Super Bowl. So
Yeah.
uh, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
All right, Andy. Well, let's get down to brass tacks. Who do you think's winning the game?
Uh, I'm really rooting for the Eagles on this one, but
Well,
it's
yeah,
gonna be
you're
the
rooting for
Chiefs.
the Eagles, but
It's gonna be the Chiefs. I have
oh
the
no.
Chiefs. I have the Chiefs to cover. The one I'm seeing on Caesars right now. It's a 1 point spread. 1 point. It's been bouncing up and down, but yeah, I have the Chiefs to win, and I think because they have Patrick Mahomes. That's really my big reasoning right there.
That's kind of a cop out, but I mean, you would have been right the last two times they were in the Super Bowl.
Does the Eagles have the best quarterback in the NFL? I don't think
No.
so.
No, they
So
don't. They have the best running back.
they do.
Does
They
that mean
do.
anything?
It means go Saquon. I'm rooting the hell.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
rooting
no,
the heck out of him. But
I totally get it. I get it. I'm just giving you a hard time. Um, yeah, it's really hard to bet against the Chiefs, and I figured out a way to do it last week against the Bills, and I was
right.
wrong. Right, so I think most of America bet on the Bills to win that game, and most
Yes.
of America was
Yes.
wrong. The Chiefs, they just have a very, very, very hard time finishing the game with fewer points than their opponent. It's
Hmm.
just it's very difficult for them. So I totally get that, and they tend to step up in the biggest moments under the brightest lights, and they're just ran so well, um, both by their coach and by their quarterback. It's just a well-run, well-oiled machine. So I totally get it. I'm gonna pick the Eagles to win. I'm gonna pick the Eagles to cover. Um, I think it's just going to be a Saquon game. I think they're going to control the time of possession. I think they're going to do all the little things that you need to do to beat the Chiefs. They're built for it, and they're well balanced. They're more well balanced than any team. I think that's what's gotten them this far. I talked a lot about how much I love the Ravens and how much the Lions have going for them, but I've always known that the Eagles are the most balanced team in the league. Not only between passing and running, but just between offense and defense. Like they have an incredible defense, and I think that that's going to be very impactful as well for all the talk about Saquon Barkley. Like, it's a team sport. There's 52 players. There's 22 starters, not counting special teams, and like that just has to matter. Like, because the Eagles
Mm.
roster is so much better. I think when you compare the 22 Eagles in the starting lineup and the 22 starters that the Chiefs have, I know Mahomes counts for a lot, but that's why I'm pulling. I'm not only rooting for the Birds. I'm betting on the Birds this week.
Okay. Okay. It's like all logic agrees with you. All common sense says yes, they have the better starting 22 players. But
Yeah,
then there's just like this weird thing in the NFL how it says if you have the better quarterback, you have the better chance to win. And Patrick Mahomes is number one, baby. And that just accounts for like that tiny sliver that I think gives them the edge.
they're so well
Um,
coached too, and
yeah,
the penalties. And I don't want to get into the refs of it all, but like they're just mistake free, relatively speaking.
right,
Um,
right.
but yeah,
The
man,
I'm I'll be curious to see if Patrick Mahomes does those dancing around the defenders on the sideline and then like pretends to step out and then goes another 3 or 4 yards, maybe gets a call. Like I could easily see that happening in a pivotal point. Like yeah, it's just that little tick. I'm gonna kind of predict just how this game is gonna go though. I really think it's gonna be a slow start. I think it's going to be a low scoring first half. I think both teams are really going to kind of struggle to find out who they're going against. Maybe there's some nerves that happen. Um, and then it's the second half that's really going to matter. I mean, the Eagles have just been a second half team most of this year. You could argue some of these playoff games where they've just come out firing, especially when Saquon's first two carries are touchdowns in the game. But like the entire regular season, they have just been so slow at the start in the first half, and then the second half, they just figure out their opponent and dominate. And the Chiefs, as we know, well run, well coached. Andy Reid strives at halftime. That is his go-to, and I really think it's going to be a slow start in the first half, and then just both teams come out firing in the second half. I could easily see 2 touchdowns per each team in the second half alone.
Okay. Yeah. I I agree it could start off cagey. I think we're going to see some field goals in the first half. I think
Mm-hmm.
we're going to see some longer drives. And I think just the situational defense of the Chiefs and the personnel that the Eagles have on defense. I think in the red zone things really tighten up. So yeah, I could definitely see like it being kind of a field goal game to start. Uh, the way I see the Eagles winning, like I said, is with Saquon. It's with time of possession. So yes, I think the Eagles get out to a lead in the first half. By the time we get to halftime, I think the Eagles will be up because of that, and then Andy Reid's going to go into his bag, and the Chiefs are
Mm.
going to have to throw the ball around a bit. And I know this sounds like wishful thinking, but like I think Mahomes just starts slinging it and it doesn't work. I think maybe he throws a pick or two. I think Cooper DeJean gets involved. I think the rest of that secondary, Quinyon Mitchell, like these dudes for the Eagles, they're gonna put the Chiefs into a situation where they don't know how many possessions they're gonna have left, and they're trying to maximize these possessions. They're trying to take deep shots, and it's not working. So I think it could be a lower scoring game, and the Eagles end up winning. I don't know. I didn't write down a score. I haven't really thought that far, but I don't know. Something like 27-20 Eagles.
Okay. So do you think the Eagles have the lead the whole game then?
Pretty much. Yeah, I think they take a lead into
Wow.
halftime, and then we see like a nice like punch back by the Chiefs coming out of halftime, but ultimately the Eagles hang on for the rest of the game.
Okay. Okay. I like the prediction. I like it.
So in your scenario, the Chiefs, led by Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, gives them that edge, and they come out second half, comeback potentially. Who's the MVP of the game?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's boring, but I'm going Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, yeah, no. It sounded like an open-ended question, but it actually wasn't. There is a right or wrong answer, and that's the right answer. I looked this up, and every time the Chiefs have won the Super Bowl in this era, Mahomes has been the MVP.
Yeah.
They've
Yeah.
never given it to anyone else. So if the Chiefs win, it's gonna be Mahomes. And then if the Eagles win, definitely like if it plays out how I'm thinking, it's got to be Saquon.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I went through and I looked. Okay, the last 15 years, how many times is it actually like not a quarterback? You know, because it
Yeah.
feels like it's got to be a quarterback every time. In the last 15 years, it's actually not the case. It's mostly quarterbacks. But in the last 15 years, we've had two wide receivers win the award. Uh, you want to do a pop quiz? Can you tell me who those two wide receivers are in the last 15 years to win
Yeah.
Super Bowl MVP?
Edelman and Cooper Cup.
Nailed it. The other two non quarterbacks to win Super Bowl MVP in the last 15 years are both linebackers.
Ray Lewis and Malcolm Smith.
Ooh, close, close. I think Ray Lewis, that might have been
That might have been a Joe
more than.
Flacco game.
Yeah. Because Joe Flacco was like, "Oh, I get a car. I'm MVP. I get a car." Yeah. Ray Lewis was a Super Bowl MVP. I think for that 2000 team.
Okay.
No, it was a different linebacker, outside linebacker slash edge. It was actually Von Miller
Oh, of course. Yes.
against
Yes. The
Cam Newton,
Broncos.
famously. Yeah.
Yes. Yep. 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 Okay. That makes sense.
So if it was a wide receiver, I could see it being like AJ Brown. If somehow the Chiefs like say like we are not letting Saquon beat us, and then it's just
Mm,
one-on-ones for the receivers, and the Eagles pull it out, I could see AJ Brown having a big game. Um, but I don't know. It doesn't seem super realistic. In terms of linebackers, like you need to force multiple turnovers or get multiple sacks. Uh, so I don't know. It's almost like Jalen Carter makes more sense because
th-
yeah, no, and
that's where I was going. Yeah.
I get that, yeah, because like Zach Bond, he doesn't really rush the quarterback. He's all pro linebacker this year, but he rushing the
Right.
quarterback isn't part of his game, so he would need to force a bunch of turnovers basically if he has any shot at it. Hey, just wanted to jump in here real quick to remind you all about our partnership with BetStamp. If you're ready to take your sports betting to the next level and you want to support our show, we highly recommend signing up for your next sports book through the show's sign up expert link in the description. This will allow you to take advantage of many new user offers available. And don't forget to bet responsibly by tracking all of your bets and getting yourself the best odds through the BetStamp app. Back to the show! All right, so those were our predictions for the Super Bowl, but now we're going to get specific. We're going to have some fun. And what we're going to do is Andy and I are going to create a 6-leg parlay that is almost sure to lose, but it's going to be a ton of fun to track during the game. And I recommend that you guys follow us just for the fun of it. To track these prop bets that we're going to pick. We're going to go back and forth. We have no idea what the other one's about to say, but what we do know is that it's going into a 6-leg parlay for the Super Bowl, and we're both going to bet 1,000. No, I'm just kidding. One of us is going to go, and we're going to place a bet, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. We gotta do this bet. Whatever we create, we're gonna do.
It's
At
absolutely
the
happening. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
No
at the
doubt.
sports book. So, yeah. So who's winning? Who's winning the coin flip between you and me? Who's going first?
Uh, should we Rochambeau?
No, I'll go first.
All right. All right.
I'll take the first draft pick here. So one thing that I have been really adamant about is this guy named Kareem Hunt and score. He loves to score close, like 5-yard touchdowns for the Chiefs. So I see both starting running backs, scoring on either team a touchdown this game. Saquon's odds anytime touchdown score is minus 208. So I'm going to go down a couple slots and go down to Kareem Hunt plus 120 to score a touchdown in the Super Bowl.
I love that. I couldn't agree more. The Chiefs, very fundamental, very boring team. When you get into the red zone, they don't futz around. They give it to the big bruising running back, and he finds his way into the end zone. I love that pick. Um, Man, so that was one of my backups. I had three that I
Okay.
love. That was one of my backups. In case you
Well,
took one
that's
of the
good.
three that I love. Yeah, no, it's great. And one of the three that I love because it's a 6-leg parlay. I'm saying this mostly to the listeners. Like, we're not going to shoot for the moon on any one of these because it's 6 legs. So, like, if they're
Right.
all pretty safe, it's still going to have a big payout. And that's why I think we absolutely should throw Saquon Barkley at minus 200 anytime touchdown into the mix, just to give us kind of a nice, safe box checking leg in here. You know, some of these are going to make us sweat, and I don't think that's going to be one of them. And I think that's kind of what we need if we want to pull this off.
I agree. I
Kind
agree.
of
I just said,
the
yeah.
vegetables of the parlay.
Yes.
You need them.
Yes.
You need them.
Okay, so now that we got the vegetables, we're gonna go up the triangle here and get a little bit more risky. I'm gonna bank on. It sounds like you don't think it's gonna be a super high scoring game, which it was good to hear that. I'm gonna kind of bank on the first half scoring of low scoring here. So
Ooh,
first
there
half
we go.
spread. Here we go. Okay, so I was seeing that I think we could change this a little bit.
You want to tease it?
Yeah, I think we could.
So it looks like the first half under 24 points is at minus 120 right now.
Right. I
Maybe
was gonna.
we stick with that for now.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. I think I was gonna try to go to 26. Go under 26, just to give us a little bit of a buffer. But yes, I agree. For right now, I think we stick with the minus under 24. You feeling okay about that?
Yes. Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's red zone defense takes over and forces some field goal attempts, and the Eagles' field goal kicker has been really struggling. So maybe we even
Mm,
get a miss in there. You never know. Uh,
that's a
and
good point.
we've seen so many teams, particularly the Lions and Commanders, but like a bunch of teams are going for it on fourth down a lot. Um, and
Right.
we've seen that result in more points. Uh, for more fantasy points, more NFL points. But yeah, I think that that's going to be mostly a second half scenario that we have to worry about, not so much in the first.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, that's a really interesting one. I hadn't really thought about it, but I don't disagree at all. Um, for our next leg, and I feel great about this. I feel like this is just a home run. And I'm going to shut up before I jinx it. I'm taking Patrick Mahomes over 29 and a half rushing yards.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So this one it says 30.
That's fine.
Okay.
Under.
So what?
No, over. Over.
Oh,
I said over.
you want the over?
Yes, I want the over.
Okay. So what was his? It would be curious to see his previous rushing yards in
Yeah,
these
I got you.
playoffs so
I
far.
got you.
Okay. Okay.
So Patrick Mahomes, he's played in 4 Super Bowls so far. In those 4 Super Bowls, he's averaged 43 rushing yards, and
Mm.
it's gone up every Super Bowl that he's played.
Wow. Okay.
So the most
Okay.
recent Super Bowl he played in, he ran for 66 rushing yards.
Yes, he does. He is Patrick Mahomes. He does like to turn it on when it matters most. So the
Absolutely. Like
more,
like last episode I described the Chiefs offense as like a Jenga tower that never falls because you take away their top running back, you take away Tyreek Hill and like it doesn't matter and it's like how is this still standing? And a lot of that is just because Mahomes he just he tucks it and runs. And
right.
I love the line here. It just seems so beatable. Um, like I said, he in Super Bowls he's averaging over 10 yards more than that, and it's gone up every time. And last game against the Bills in the AFC Championship, he ran the ball 11 times for 43 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Nice. Nice.
So that feels
Yeah.
pretty safe to me, but we'll see.
Sure. No, I mean, yeah, he I just said it. He loves to turn it on and that means him running for first downs, running for touchdowns, trucking people into the end zone, whatever it takes to win. He's about it, especially when it's the Super Bowl. So, now this is where I get stuck, honestly.
Let
Okay.
me hit you with what I got. So
Sure.
I have one that I like researched and feel strongly about, and then I have a backup, and the backup was Saquon Barkley over 25 rushing yards in the first quarter, and that kind of
Okay.
lines up with what you're saying and with what I'm saying. Like you think the Eagles are going to start with the ball. We both think it's going to be kind of a low scoring, kind of grinded out sort of drive. Do you think in the first quarter Saquon could get 25 yards? They'll probably get 2 possessions in the first quarter,
Mhm.
especially if they start with the ball. They'll definitely get 2 possessions. So across those 2 possessions, Saquon 25 rushing yards. That feels pretty safe. Like he could rip that off in one run, like we've seen in recent history. Um, but even if he's not that successful, I feel like we still got a pretty decent shot.
Yes, I'm trying to find. Yes, I'm totally listening to you. I totally agree with all of that thought process. I'm trying to find what that. Oh, here we go. First half. Okay, first quarter rushing yards. Here we go. Thank you. 27 and a
They
half
moved it
is
to
the
27.
Yeah, it's different
Those
sports
dirty
books.
rats. Okay.
First half is at 56, so they're predicting 27. They're predicting 27 each quarter.
Okay.
We could do. Oh, there's this one of most first half rushing yards as Saquon at -400.
That's a little too safe. Minus
Okay.
400. All right. Let me see if I can convince you of this. It's another leg that I put down. Just like I have the over for Mahomes' rushing yards, I have the under for his passing yards for the game. Can you show me what what the yardage is?
251.5.
Okay, so I would say under that passing yardage total. This season, the Eagles' defense, they've allowed the fewest yards per pass attempt in the league by a lot. And they have the second fewest passing yards overall. The Eagles have given up, on average, 192 passing yards per game. That's including every regular season game, postseason game, whatever. Mahomes himself hasn't surpassed 250 so far this postseason against the Texans or the Bills. So
I was gonna say, has he even surpassed 200?
I think he did against the Bills, but not 250.
Okay.
And so it's like, is he really going to go over 250 against the Eagles?
No, I don't think so. I'm all about that one.
Okay. Wait, 40 receiving yards, Dallas Goedert.
-215.
That's pretty
It likes
easy,
it.
in my opinion.
I would agree.
Could go to
Travis Kelce.
That's great. I mean, Kelsey could catch 10 passes for 100 yards, or he could catch 2 like he did last game. Like, that's
True.
You know how many
Who were you
people
gonna
bet
say?
on Travis Kelce in the AFC Championship, and they just
Ugh.
said, no, we'll just win in other ways.
Right.
I was talking about receptions for Goddard.
Okay. Let's see. 4 or more is his minimum.
I'd rather the yards at that price.
Yeah.
How does that make
I
you
think
feel?
so too. Let's see, -390. I'm a little bit more comfortable with the 30-yarder, but the 40 gives us better odds, and he's just been killing it in these playoffs. So, yeah, I'm all about it.
-400. What does that do to our payout?
Turns it from 26 plus 2,600 to 2,100.
All right, so that's like a $100 difference if it's a $20 bet.
Yeah, $80. Yep.
Okay, that's fine with me. And hey, if we do this where we have 2 different parlays with a different 6th leg, they could both win.
Right.
So we're not betting against ourselves in that sense. So I do kind of like that. Yeah.
I'm all about this one right here.
Alrighty. All right, that's our final answer.
That's our final answer.
So yeah, Eagles start with the ball. The coin lands on heads, and the Gatorade bath. It really depends on which team wins. Because if the Eagles win, it's a very, very strong chance it's going to be that like lemon lime color, which they're kind of combining like yellow, green, lime. Like that's one option. I don't know what flavor that is. Maybe it is just lemon lime, I think. But then if the Chiefs win, they've done a lot of winning. You can just Google image like the Gatorade color on Andy Reid, and like one year it's like Chiefs red, another year it's orange, another year it's purple. So yeah, it's a little more of a toss up there. But yeah, if you think the Chiefs are gonna win, I might go purple. All right, well there you have it. I hope everyone listening has a ton of fun this weekend at their respective Super Bowl gatherings. Go Birds, and we'll see you next week to discuss the results.
Yeah. Good luck, everybody. Have fun, and thanks for watching.
See ya.
See ya.
Thanks a ton for making it to the end of the episode. You're a real one. Don't forget to like and subscribe. That's a free, easy way to support the show, and it really helps us out. And leave us your comments down below if you're on YouTube, or send in your questions at thefantasyflowpodcast@gmail.com. Until next time.